Hi there. Thanks for joining us here at Marshashana Yoga, a place where we attempt to calm the mind, strengthen the body, and bring light into our lives. A little quiet in the midst of the storm of life. Well, we have talked about the koshas on the past several episodes, and we are now at that final layer, the Anandamaya kosha. We have looked at the Annamaya kosha, the physical body, the Pranamaya kosha, the energy layer, the Manomaya kosha, the mind stuff, and the Vijnanamaya kosha, the wisdom body. Now we reach that inner layer, the Anandamaya kosha. In Vijnanamaya kosha, we may have feelings of bliss, but it is in the Anandamaya kosha that we truly experience bliss and become one with it. In layman's terms, I guess we begin to truly go with the flow and are not moved in any direction by the exterior forces of life, the dualities, the ups and downs, those mountains and valleys. We can all relate to this. It's sometimes difficult to be even-keeled in times of great distress. When we get to this sheath, we are knowing this non-attachment. We all experience feelings of bliss, but they are usually fleeting. And we can't strive to try to reach the Anandamaya kosha because that would be pointless. We only get there when we give up all mind control. We can't contemplate it, and it's really hard to even describe it. I guess the closest we come to understanding it is in the light of a child absorbed in the moment. We must become childlike again, yes, and this is a common theme in different religions, including Christianity. Well, there's not a lot more to say about that layer, so I'm going to touch on a few ideas that are basic to the practice of yoga. Yoga is not a religion. It is a 5,000-year-old practice that helps to make your life better in many ways. It's about self-improvement and self-acceptance. The yamas and the niyamas are the guidelines for right living, but they are not rules, merely suggestions. One of the main concepts in yoga is that of ease and effort. We should be engaged in the work we are doing in yoga, our postures, breath work, meditation, using effort to get where we want to be. But we do not want to be always straining or pushing. Iyengar, the guy who brought yoga to this part of the world, says that when there is constant pushing beyond our personal limitations, at that time, it's ego-driven. So we exert effort, but we also recognize the value of ease. When we practice the postures, we express the opposites of heating while exerting, as we do in the warrior poses, and the cooling when releasing, as in Shavasana. We try to find that in-between place. So while you're in Warrior One, attempting to relax as you exert, and in Shavasana, to exert as you relax. And if you do relax completely, you'll probably fall asleep. A Buddhist story explains this concept quite nicely. A musician once asked the Buddha how we should meditate. The Buddha responded by asking, "How do you tune your instrument?" The musician answered, "Not too tight, not too loose." The Buddha said, "Exactly like that." So we are firm in the asanas, but we also soft. We find our balance. We can bring this idea from our mat to our everyday lives as we stand strong on what we believe in while also being open to opening. And there is less internal struggle as we speak and live our truth. And it becomes more in line with what we actually believe, with our true selves. We don't have to pretend anymore because what we are living matches our views and values. This change happens over time as we begin to live more authentically. And to take it a step further, this reminds us that nothing is permanent in life. Just as in our yoga, we move from one pose to another. By practicing, we begin to refrain from panicking or grasping as we face life with equanimity in the face of its dualities, its ups and downs. This concept of ease and effort involves using the breath to stay in the moment and to allow you to increase the relaxation you're feeling. Pay attention to your body in the places that are tight. Maybe you can release the shoulders down a little more. Relax the facial muscles in the eyes. Another idea is that of extension and expansion. We experience this extension as we reach upwards in Urdhva Hastasana, tall mountain pose, and expansion as we bring the arms outward in Virabhadrasana 2, warrior 2. We can bring this perspective to every pose we do. To quote Iyengar, extension is attention and expansion is awareness. He also says that one, quote, must do asana not merely as a physical exercise, but as a means to understand and then integrate our body with the breath, with our mind, with our intelligence, with our consciousness, with our conscience, and with our core. We can also look at this concept with regard to pranayama. The word prana refers to that life energy or life force, but also to respiration. Ayama means length, expansion, extension, and involves the concept of control and restraint of the breath. When we practice the breath work of yoga, we are expanding our chest and lungs and slowing down the rate of breath. We also know that our breath is seriously affected by our emotional state, the position of our body. Think of someone whose posture is compromised, and therefore so are the internal organs. And also by what we are doing physically. For example, sitting versus running. Iyengar focuses on the elongation and instructs that we should expand the breathing, shape it, and to direct that breath to different parts of the lungs incrementally, as we experience when we are doing our three-part breath. As yoga yokes together the mind, body, and spirit, we must bring that extension and expansion to all three. Thus, Iyengar points out that we should, quote, practice the extension and expansion of your intelligence and consciousness to live intellectually, consciously, and conscientiously in the body. In addition, it is interesting to note and to bear in mind that we do have this idea of oppositional force in yoga. So as we plant the feet firmly on the earth, we extend the crown of the head to the sky. As we press down on our base, we lift up with the top, and then we hold that. It's good to be aware of this movement in two directions, while of course, still attending to the breath. To take this to someplace related, we are humans with feet on the earth, but we are also creatures of the universe and spirit. We are gold dust. The composition of our body is similar to that of a star. And so once again, it goes back to that idea of balance. For me, yoga has meant living a life that is in line with what my soul believes. I know that I am no longer living an ordinary life, that I am on this journey that is bringing me closer to my authentic self and closer to yoking mind, body, and spirit. What I want is to be the best version of myself without comparing myself to others. This is so hard. Additionally, sometimes as we move along this path, We may give up things or people that we have clung to, but that were perhaps not conducive to our spiritual advancement. Each journey is unique. But there is no question in my mind that if you practice yoga with regularity, you will begin to notice subtle shifts within yourself. Don't panic or cling. Just surrender and go with the flow. Some things are just not within our control. Now we will go to the mat, and from there, bring what we can out into the world. We begin here now by just attending to our breath. We notice the rise and fall of the breath. You can close your eyes or you can just soften your gaze. We notice the breath as it rises, move the abdomen moving up. And then as the breath just flows upwards, filling the lungs. And then we just retain a second and then we just let that release on the exhalation. And as we rest here, we just allow our concerns to just move away. The mind is very busy, and in yoga we just attempt to quiet the mind. And as we still the body, the mind also begins to quiet down. So we just rest here in this place, a little place of peacefulness and quiet for a little while. We allow prana to just enter the body through the palms of the hands and the crown of the head, this life force, this life energy. And it's in this position of Supta Baddha Konasana, or a bound angle, we are opening the chest and lifting the chest, opening the hips. It's also good for sciatica and for flat feet. It's said to rid the body of disease and get rid of all fatigue. So let's just try expanding that breath a little bit as we talked about earlier. So we fill the belly and then allow that breath in a nice smooth movement to move up to the ribs and expand them laterally. And then up into the chest. We just pause a second and then we release the chest, the ribs, and the belly. Again, we fill the belly. Expand the ribs, lift the chest. All in a nice fluid movement. Of course, I'm talking, so I'm, a little jerky here, but when you're doing it, you just let it flow, and then releasing the chest, ribs, and belly. And just returning now to the normal rise and fall of your breath. So there is that idea, and when I was in teacher training and I first heard that suggestion of expanding the ribs laterally, I had never thought about that or heard of that before. But as you begin to practice that three-part breath, you will notice that the ribs cage does move sideways. So while we're laying here, just envision a beautiful white light above the crown of the head. And as we inhale, let's draw that into the crown of the head. And as we exhale, allow that brilliant light to flood the body, flowing through it and around it. And now let's just draw the arms upwards. Settle them down a little. Let's do a little thing with the fingers here. We bring the index and thumb together, so we say sa. And then the middle finger, ta. And the ring finger, na. And the pinky, ma. So we go sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. We quieter, sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na. Make a loose fist, rotate your fists. So it's birth, life, death, rebirth, and then the other way. Interlace your fingers, extend them up, stretch the arms. Inhale to the chest. Exhale forward. Inhale, up. And then bring the arms down and just release your blocks. If you're not using the bolster and blocks, you're on the flat back, that's fine too. So we bring the legs long and we extend the arms. Push the feet away like you're on one of those medieval stretching machines where you're pulled from the fingertips and also from the heels. Nice stretch. There's a lengthening through the side of the body. And then we exhale that down. Bring the feet up to the floor for a moment and just rock them back just a little bit, just a few inches. Nothing radical here, just rocking back and forth a little. And then come back to the center, bring one hand to each elbow and just rest that either here or here. If you have tight shoulders, it might be a stretch to go that far. So we never do anything that's painful. A stretch, there's right and wrong pain in yoga. I think we pretty much all know what that means. And then just alternating that arm, bringing the other one up. I like this, it loosens up the shoulders, lets them sort of relax, and kind of a good feeling. I always do this move. And then coming up. And just for a moment, bring your left leg long and your left arm long. Stretch that side of the body. Bring that arm down, that foot back, and then stretch the other side. And then back down. Very good. And just rock the head left and right just a little bit, just warming up the neck. Beautiful. And then coming back to center. So let's just come up off the bolster, just move it off to the side and come down to a flat back position. Move your pillow and bolster right over, or your pillow, if that's what you're using. Come down, stretch the body long. So we just reach way back and from the heels. And then bring the arms down with your exhalation. And then bring the feet up to the floor one at a time. And just draw the knees in, cross them at the ankles, bring the hands with fingertips pointing to the feet. Begin to just rotate around. So we inhale around, exhale back. Inhale, exhale. And then just come around to the other side, change the cross of your feet, and come around. Inhale, exhale. Inhale around, exhale. And again, back around. Now, when you come back around to the center, either take behind your thighs or in front, or if you can reach your feet, you can pull those in. And just drawing that in, so just squeezing the internal organs, getting rid of some stuff from the organs, and then releasing down. Extend your arms, extend your legs. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Wiggle, wiggle both. And then stretch the fingers and toes as wide as you can. And then bring the arms down by the sides. Bring your feet up, back up to the floor. Draw the thighs in and just gently rock back. Just hold them. Let them be open a little bit. So just gently rocking back and forth. And then coming to this place, just point and flex, make some circles, and the other way. And now try to just bring the legs straight up, holding behind the thighs. Point and flex, point and flex. Try bringing the hands down, palms down, and crossing one over the other. And then come back to center, bring the hands to prayer and bring them in between your legs, and then grab the outsides of your feet. And just in happy baby, the soles are towards the ceiling. And we just gently rock back and forth. And now bring the soles of the feet together. Use your elbows there to open that up and draw those in. Nice stretch for the hips and that area. And then bring those down to the floor. Extend the arms, extend the legs. Bring the arms down and just do a pelvic tilt. So push the smaller back in to the floor. And then again, and release. So just warming that lower back up. Bring the feet up to the floor, Walk the palms down, press down with the hands and feet, widen those shoulders against the floor and lift up into Setu Bandha. When you're in this position, don't turn your head and look at it. You want to stay in the position. Lift the back of the thighs up to the ceiling. And then come down a little bit at a time. And we're just going to roll over and come up for a moment to seated position. We're going to bring the legs long in front of us. We're going to bring the legs long in front of us, and we're going to bring the belt. So in Dandasana, or a staff pose, we're going to bring the belt around just below the balls of the feet. Hip distance apart. We're going to walk the hands down. We're going to keep the chest up, lifting the chest and keeping the back straight. Now make sure in this action of Dandasana that you're pressing down with the calves and the legs. So you get that nice, should be a nice stretching sensation there. Walk the hands a little more if you can while keeping the back straight and the chest from collapsing. Take a big breath, keep the toes up. Try not to grip your belt. And then just releasing that and just set that belt to your side. Bring one knee underneath your ankle if you're able. And you can always use a bolster to bring the buttocks up a little if it's easier. The other foot stays up, and take your opposite hand from the knee that's bent, twist it around, and let that other arm rest behind. So we keep a nice straight spine. The foot is up, the shoulder, rear shoulder relaxes. And we take a breath. When you take that breath, you notice that the thigh expands against the abdomen expands against the thigh. So we do have that squeezing of the toxins in that position as well. We bring the other leg up, wrap it, and twist to the other side. Nice. Rear shoulder is relaxed. Take a breath. And then coming back. Bring both of your feet so the toes are pointed up like this. Bring your hands in the middle and let them rest on the floor. And as you press down with the hands, lift up with the chest. And as you push in with the thigh, inner thigh, press out with the arm. So here we are. This is a perfect example of the oppositional force that I noted during our interview, during our speaking portion today. We have this pushing in with the thighs, we push out with the arms. We push down with the hands, we lift with the chest. So we keep all of these different things engaged. Now this is the action we're going to use in some of our poses, like crow, which we haven't got to yet. But so that's what we stretch those. Now bring the soles of the feet together. And just put them apart like a book. So just opening them up, which opens up the groin area more. Now let the balls and the heels come together and just open your toes. See if you can open them wide. So we're always trying to make the feet wider and spread them and all that stuff. It's stuff we don't do in everyday life. And then coming back. So extend the arms long. Let's just try boat or try a variation of boat, of Virasana. So we can bring the feet up here and the hands forward, or we can extend the legs up, lifting the chest. So whatever you can do. So just staying whenever you can practice that. And then we'll come back up, come to the front here, bring the left foot in and then the right. Bring your feet under your knees as much as possible. Bring your hands to the legs here near the ankles. We inhale through. We exhale back, lengthen the arm, pull the belly back. Inhale, close the eyes, exhale. So we don't grip with the hands, we don't bob the head. In spinal flex, we bring some nice oxygen up to the executive functioning part of the brain. And we break up stress in the back. So we inhale forward. We exhale back. Gives a nice work to the abdomen area and that fire chakra there. And then coming back up. Bring your hands to your elbows. Inhale here. Bring them back. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Bring them out to the side. Make some rotations. Good. Just loosening up those shoulders. This can be a tight area for a lot of people. The other way. Good. And now draw both your arms up, cross the right over the left in eagle arms, and just lift that up as you extend them out and up. Nice stretch for the shoulders. Take a breath, don't forget to breathe. Shake your arms out. Bring them up, wrap the other way. So you may not be able to do this at first. It's not uncommon to see people right here. I had a student in my class this morning is here, but eventually you'll get there. You just keep practicing. Lift up and out. Now, if you have shoulder issues, you may never get there. It just depends. Every body is different. And as we age, we, have different issues. And relaxing, shaking that out. Now, bring the legs long. Bring your fingertips beside and open and lift your chest. And then point and flex your feet. And then slide the heels away and bring the toes together. And bring them back and forth. And notice the sensation up the side of the legs as you do that. And then again, we come back, we bring the right foot in, and then the left. Bring the hands to the legs again. Inhale left, exhale right. Inhale, exhale. Come back to center. Inhale, lift the arms, spread the arms, lift the chin. Exhale, back. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Come back up. Fold forward. Releasing the hips. And just holding there a moment. And then coming back up. Okay, let's come and take this off, the blanket off, and come down to our mat. And let's come to table position. So in table, of course, the shoulders right over the wrist and hips over knees. Tap the feet. And then tuck the toes and just rock back and forth on the toes, just stretching those toes out a little bit. Yeah, and then come back to the table, to this table position. Inhale, head up. And exhale, round and tuck. Let the head drop. Inhale. Exhale. Come back up. See if you can do this. If you can, good. If you can't, don't. This is just a good stretch for the wrist. Creates that full flexion, full extension that we don't always get in the wrist area. So if you're doing a lot of typing, work on the computer, that kind of thing, this is going to help you. Stretching that. And then coming back. Now let's come into plank. So let's bring ourselves up to plank pose, right? Shoulders right over wrists, right? Buttocks down, belly up. Take a breath. Keep your gaze in front of your mat, not straight down in plank pose. And then come to a side plank. Roll to the sides of your feet. Now remember, you can always drop this back knee. You still get that nice feeling. In fact, in this position, I can really focus on my extension, right? Or if you're sideways, expansion. And then coming back down. So whichever way you prefer, come back into plank with the leg down or not, and then turn to the other side. So we're just strengthening the arms, strengthening the core. And then coming back down. Drop the knees, bring the knees apart, toes together, and come down into child's pose. Rest the head. You can always put a block here if you like that better. Now, child's pose is a restful pose, but it's also an intense stretch for the back. The spine gets about 110 degrees stretch there. So it's really good. It's opening up the hips and all of that. So just resting there a moment. And then we'll just come up. Let's try something a little different here. Now we want to make sure that the thighs stay parallel to the ground. We're going to come down to the elbows here. And then put the crown of the front of the crown of the head. So not your forehead, we're talking about right here. And even the upper crown is good on this particular one, maybe the center crown, yeah. So we're going to put that on the ground, and then we're going to tuck the toes, and we're going to come up. And just staying here for a moment. So the arms and shoulders should be taking the brunt of the weight, not the head. And if this bothers you, do not do it. And then if you can, walk up a little more. And then drop that down. And just come back to your child's pose for a moment. And then just come up again, and we're going to try one other thing. So we're going to come sitting back, like your child's pose like this. And we're going to bring the hands together so that they're standing. And we're going to put them on the floor in front of us. And the distance between these two elbows should be about the length of your forearm from elbow to here. So that's how wide you're going to be at the elbow. And then we're going to place, this time the crown, but the front of the crown, right into the palms of your hands. And then we're going to tuck the toes and come up. And this is a half headstand. And again, we walk the feet as far in as we can so that the spine is as vertical as possible. And take a breath. Now again, the weight is not on the head, really, as much as it is on the shoulders and the arms. They're supporting it. Take a breath. And then just come back down. Come to child's pose, rest for a moment. And then we'll come back up. Now, we're going to move into pigeon. We're going to do pigeon. So let's come into the downward facing dog, right, where we move those hands forward. Tuck the toes, come up, lifting the back thighs up. And then take your left foot and bring the sole up to the ceiling while keeping your arms long and strong. Draw that into your chest and cross it over, coming down into pigeon. So in this pose, getting a nice stretch. That right hip should come down to as close to the ground as possible. Now for a while, until you get used to it, you can bring support under the other hip too. And then walk yourself down so that you're just resting your head. Now we're stretching out over that leg. Now all the toes on that right foot should be on the floor flat. Now come back up, walk back up. Keep the spine long and back. And if you like, sometimes my students will just bring the foot up. If you can hold it, good. Stretching, it's a nice stretch of the front of the thigh. And then dropping that, come back into down dog. Take a breath. Lift that opposite foot up, the right foot up, sole to the ceiling, arms long, bring it in, travel over, settle down, lift up. So eventually the idea is just get both those hips up and that foot comes forward. Of course, we always work on our progress. And then coming down. Nice, stretching that hip, that place where we store a lot of our emotions too. And then walk it back up. Come up. And if you can, either raise that back foot or take it and stretch it. Just give it a little stretch. And then release, come back, and we'll just come up to standing. So bring yourself up. So we come now to Tadasana. Feet are even and parallel and hip distance. We bring the shoulders down and back and lift the crown of the head, and we take a breath. Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale, come up on the toes, bring the hands together. Just strengthening the ankles and legs and knees all the way up, and exhaling down. Bring the hands out, stretch them forward. And then move them to the right. And as you do that, bear down on your left foot a little. Yeah, just stretching. Come back. Arms go the other way. Stretch and push down on the right foot. Come back up. Inhale up. And then as you come down, we're going to do like a child's pose standing. So we're going to bring the chest to the knees and let the backs of the hands rest on the floor. Taking a breath. And then coming up. Bring the hands up, bring them to the lower back. Do a little baby back bend. And then coming up. Okay, let's step wide. Turn one foot out and the other one in a little bit and extend your arms. So here we have the extension and the expansion as we talked about. We bend that forward knee, bringing the knee to the little toe side and gazing out over that arm. So just gazing out over that arm. And then straighten that front leg and reach forward. So we're cutting back with that hip as we lengthen right up here. And then coming into Trikonasana, where one arm stacks over the other, head looking forward. Come up, bring the feet to center, Turn one the other way. Back one comes in. Torso forward. Extend the spine. Extend the arms. Bend the forward knee. Make sure your torso stays straight, that you don't move forward. That's a tendency that people have to do. And then straighten that, reach forward, come into Trikonasana. Triangle. Opening and stretching a lot of the body parts, and then coming up, come to the center. So we tap it out. Inhale, round the shoulders. Exhale, back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. We're going to go to Warrior One for a minute. We're going to do a couple of things with Warrior One. In Warrior One of Virabhadrasana 1, we start in that position of Tadasana. Bring the hands to the hips. Step back with the left foot angled out a little. Raise the arms by the head and bend the forward knee. So we're in Warrior One now. Bring the hands, interlace them behind, look up. Straighten the arms and bring them down. Inhale up, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Bring the hands to prayer. And then extend the arms up and bend over that forward leg. Breathing, bring the hands up to the hips. Just hop that back foot forward a little bit. Bring the hands back to prayer. Inhale, exhale. Now inhale, bend the leg. Exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Bring the hands to the hips, step forward. Let's try that other side. So let's step back with the opposite foot angled out a little. Extend the arms. Bend the forward knee. In Virabhadrasana 1. Drop the legs. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Bring the hands to prayer. Extend up. Bend over. Bring the hands up to the hips. Hop that foot forward a little bit. Again, bring the hands back to prayer. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, bend, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Bring the hands to the hips and step forward. Inhale, forward fold. Look back between the legs. And then come up. Bring the hands to the lower back, little back bend. And then coming up. So we're going to do a little bit of stuff on our side on the floor. So we're going to come back down for a minute. And we're just going to come to this position first. And we're going to reach out. We're going to cup the fingers a little so that we stretch the shoulders. Make the arms wide. Stretch the shoulders. We get a stretch to the legs and the shoulders here and the arms. Fingers everywhere. Take a couple breaths. And then walk your hands back up. And just bring your belt, if you have one, up in front there. And let's come down to this position. We're going to come down, and we're going to bring the belt where we can reach it. Come down on our elbow, legs along. And then we're just going to hook the belt around the foot and take that up. So as we do that, we lengthen the arm, don't grip the belt, and just stretching that leg. So what surprised me about this when I first did it was that it requires a little bit of balance. You're going to feel a little tipsy when you're down here. So just stretching that leg. It's a nice stretch. And then just releasing that down and set your belt there. And bring your knees to this position. And let your arm go long and settle down on it. And then reach your toe out and just as far as you can stretch and touch your toe to the floor. So just stretching that. And then bring this back. Bring the leg back and touch that. And then again, reach out. And again, bring that back. It's a nice stretch for the front of the leg. Bring it right back to the buttocks. And then drop that. Let the arms, the legs go long and come back up. Again, you can just bring your arm to this position. And just see if you can lift up a little. If it bothers you or hurts you, don't do it. And then come back down. Let's come to the middle. And let's go the other way. So let's come back to this position. Folding over the leg. Stretching and cupping the fingers. Let's go for the hands. Stretch the hands. And then come back up. And let's bring that belt. And let's come down long as we just lean on the head and lengthen the arms. And then taking that belt to the other side, just lift that up. So just lengthening that. You may find considerable difference from one side to the other. You may find that one goes up. I had a student this morning, one leg went up like so nicely, the other one just wouldn't. So we work with our own bodies, whatever that may take. And then coming back down and setting that belt aside. Bring your hand long, bring your legs stacked. Leg reaches out. Leg reaches back. Again, reaching out. And again, coming back, stretching that nicely. And then just releasing, and we'll come up. We'll bring the hand forward as we bring the legs long and stacked, and see if we can lift them a little. And then coming back down. So that's good. Let's come back up to the middle. Let's bring our blanket down onto the mat again, and we'll have our little meditation and our little rest time, our little Shavasana at the end. So the Shavasana is very important too. Some people want to skip out on that part, but it's really good to do your Shavasana. Now, if you have a bolster, good. If you don't, you can sit on the floor, on a pillow, on a chair, wherever you're comfortable. If you're sitting in a chair, keep your feet flat on the floor and even and parallel. Keep some things in mind. Stack the legs. Now, if you're sitting here, stop, switch your legs, because we all tend to favor one leg over the other. Now, if you can sit on the edge of the bolster like this, it kind of slides the hips down and open, allows the knees to come down. Sometimes a lot of students will be way up here. It just takes a while, I was one of them, for those to drop down. Bring the hands up. And either close or soften the eyes. We're going to bring our attention now to the sacral chakra. Now that's the second chakra, and it's right above the root chakra. It sits at the lower abdomen. This is also called the Svadhisthana, the sacral chakra. And we envision at that place an orange lotus blossom. And this chakra is related to our relationships, our sexuality, our creativity. Meditating on this chakra brings us freedom from our enemies. It's associated with water, the element of water, and it's physically associated with the bladder and the genitals and this area. So the seed sound is VAM. So we're going to do VAM 3 times, inhaling now to begin. VAM. And now let's move to Shavasana, bringing the bolster beneath the legs and a pillow beneath your head. If you have no bolster, just lie on the floor with the pillow. So as we rest here, we just allow the body to soften. As we inhale, we draw in fresh oxygen, feeding the bones and tissues and muscles, feeding ourselves. And as we exhale, we allow the back body to just relax. Soften the top of your body, the part facing the ceiling. Just allow all of those parts to relax. And notice the back body and allow it to soften against the floor. And while you just relax there, you just stay resting on your mat, and I'll just read you a little something. Yoga is a way to restore our lost wholeness, our integrity as complete human beings, by unifying the personality around a center that is silent, unbounded, spacious, and joyful. The techniques of yoga are methods of purifying the nervous system so that it can reflect a greater degree of consciousness, and our lives can become an increasingly positive force in the world. If these techniques are correctly practiced, the whole nervous system is revitalized. The body enjoys better health and more energy. The rested mind is freed from the burden of past experience, and perception is restored to its primal freshness. Thought and activity become coherent and integrated. Life becomes richer and more fulfilling. Now just allow the mind to rest. And then gently begin to just wiggle your fingers and toes. And gently roll to your side and just rest there for a moment. Resting with a feeling of surrender. And then keeping that sense of tranquility, bring yourself up to Sukhanasana, a simple seated position. Bring the hands up in a cupped position. Extend them forward as you offer your abilities, your talents, yourself to the universe as we connect to others in this universe. And then draw that in as we accept abundance. Bring the hands to heart center. Bow the busy, thinking, intelligent, executive corporate mind to the more intuitive wisdom of the heart. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way home.